So, today in this video, I am going to show you how to animate a fight scene in Flipaclip in partnership with Coloso. So the very first tip is, make some practice animations first. This exercise is very helpful, especially for beginners. When you are trying to animate a fight scene, or any potentially difficult animation, it becomes very easy to do, if you will practice some little exercises first. Like here I am making this bean jumping over a box. It helps a lot in learning about the animation principles as well. It is like a warm-up you do, before jumping into the main animation. This way you can counter the most difficult step, the first step. It vanishes that feeling of will it be good? How should I start? Will I be able to make it as good as others? And all of these kinds of self-doubts are now gone. And the animations that you are going to see later in the video are made by Jongyun Box. He has a course on Coloso about how to create eye-catching fight animation. He has created animations for various games and movies like Minions, Assassin's Creed, Apex Legend, and in this video, I will be sharing what I learned from his course, as well as should you take this course or not. So the tip number 2 is, use perspective grid. Whenever you are animating a fight scene, or any animation that has a composition, you should always use perspective grids. It helps a lot in understanding the environment, location, and overall scene. There are many types of perspective grids, like 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective, and fisheye perspective. But here I am just using 1-point perspective. Like here, this guy is standing very close to the camera. That's why he appears bigger in comparison to the other guy, who is very far away, running and coming closer to us. Although Jung made it on TV Paint, on a PC, I am making the same animation on Flipaclip, on mobile with my fingers, to show you that you can also make good animations on mobile, just with your fingers. Now coming to our third tip, which is, don't directly try to make the clean animation. First do some rough blocking of it, or else it will end up looking like this. You should always do a rough blocking of your animation. It helps you in getting an idea about what will be the right timing and spacing, what is the overall feel and flow of it, and if there is something looking off in your animation, you can improve it here itself. Like here I am trying to draw very rough and freely, not worrying about the details. It took me around 30 minutes to make this initial rough animation, and it helped me to create a strong foundation and work more efficiently. It is one of the tips that are very helpful in improving your animation, and Coloso has many other amazing courses as well, like Guide to Indie Animation, 2D Character Animation Master, 3D Cartoon Rendering with Blender, and many more. Now my rough animation is done. Now the fourth tip is, timing and spacing. While creating any animation using timing and spacing correctly is must. Like here, when this guy starts to appear in the frame, spacing is very slim in between them, but as he starts to move forward, the space between frames increases, which is commonly known as ease out, and then he kicks the other guy, and as he is settling back to his normal position, again the frame starts to come closer to each other, which is called ease in. Our fifth tip is, understand the motion. In the 7th lesson he tells about 2 types of motion, pushing and hitting. Like here in this animation, we are applying the pushing motion, which means here the guy who is running is building up the force or energy, and as he kicks the other guy, he transmits that force to that guy. Initially his body works as a shock absorber, and tries to absorb the force, but the force being applied to his body is greater than what his body is actually able to handle, as a result of which, he falls backward and moves out of the frame, and as most of the energy is transmitted to the second guy, the first guy slowly settles back to the ground. This was a whole new perspective of observing emotion for me. This was my favorite tip by Jong, and to make it more impactful we have our 6th tip, which is, use effects and secondary elements to add more emphasis to your animation. Like here, I am drawing a shockwave, to make this kick more impactful. You can use many things to emphasize the action, like in this animation that I made a while ago. I created this groundbreaking effect to show that he is really gathering a lot of energy, and getting ready to jump off. Added a little bit of camera shake as well, which is also used to show power and strong impact, and that impact is so high that even the camera can't stay stable, and it is shaking. Now coming back to our current animation, so Jung made this shockwave in his animation, and it is looking pretty good, so I also replicated the same shockwave effect in my animation. First I made an oval in a new layer, to know about the path of shockwave, and then I drew it onto the new layer. Then I used the selection tool, to give it more sharp and dynamic look. One thing you all should see is, there are 2 shockwaves, one is the bigger one going in the circular motion, and a smaller one going towards the person who is being kicked. The second one is more like smoke formation, which has been made due to high temperature and friction generated by his kick. After making all the frames, it seemed a bit too fast for me, so I went back and added some more in between frames. I learned a lot from his course. I always try to find out new things and methods to improve my art and animation, and get better as an artist and content creator, and Jongyun's course was one of them. It has helped me a lot to get better at animation. It has only one con, that it is not in English, but that is not a big deal, because there's subtitles for us. So, if you want to buy this course, use my special coupon code, GARBIT1, to get extra $30 off. Click on the first link in the description.